Now then guys, Singapore fried rice. So this is an Indo-Chinese dish. China back in the day was very famous for its silk and the Silk Road and the old Silk Road were the traders that were moving across from southern East Asia over to the west. That's right, isn't it? East-west. And as they moved along this Silk Road, obviously they were picking up ingredients and they were going through different countries. So as far as I know, with Indo-Chinese is where the Chinese went into India and they mixed some of the dishes that they loved with some of the spices that they got in the Middle East and obviously through India and stuff like that, and that's where this dish comes from. I'm not sure why it's so popular here in the UK. It was a weird thing really, sort of like, you know, back in the 1950s when Chinese food got really popular here in the UK, how some of these dishes were sort of like coming to life. And I suppose this, you know, the British have this fascination with the curry, and of course the Chinese maybe got hold of that and thought, you know what, we're going to do this, you know, this Singapore fried rice kind of thing, which is a blend of Indian spices with Chinese flavours, I guess. So, right, so for this guys, we're going to we need some turmeric. Now the turmeric is to give that bright, vibrant yellow colour to the rice, okay? Don't need to use it, you can just use a curry powder or a curry paste even, but if you do have some turmeric, it's worth using, because remember, we do eat with our eyes. Curry powder. Now the curry powder, you can use any blend you like, you can make your own. This is just something that I had in the cupboard. It's a mild curry powder, but I'm going to add some chili powder to this, so it's going to spice things up. So please use your favourite curry powder. Paprika. I like the smokiness of paprika. You don't need to put this in, but I'm going to add a little bit of paprika and some chili powder because we just want to zing it up. A little bit of a sweat on as we're eating this because it's quite nice. And I'm probably going to add a little bit of white pepper as well. So I've got some white pepper, some salt. We might put some soy sauce through it, we'll see. When we're cooking, it's all about instinctual cooking. Now, you've got recipe sheets with you. So now that you've got your ingredients together, get rid of that recipe sheet. Because we know what's going in this dish, but I want you to use your taste buds rather than following a recipe, okay? So it might say a teaspoon of salt or half a quarter of a teaspoon of turmeric, but I want you to do this instinctually now, okay? And we can adjust as we cook. Now, obviously, we've got our cooked rice. This is just long grain boiled rice, cooked last night. It's been put in the fridge overnight and it's cooled down. A packet of rice. I like a lot of egg in my fried rice. I have 2 eggs, which we're just going to whisk in a second. I think your recipe sheet has spring onions on it. Sometimes I like spring onions, sometimes I don't fancy it. And I didn't fancy spring onions today, so I'm going to put a little bit of onion through mine, which I'm just going to dice and just toast off. Some peas again for the colour, and then you've got a choice of mixed vegetables, tofu, mixed seafood. And we're going to go for a mixed seafood. Again, this was just frozen, I've defrosted it, and I'll just fry this off at the very beginning, just to get it nice and warm, add the rice, and we've got a nice Singapore seafood fried rice. Okay, so we need, right, first things first actually, prep. So we need to crack our eggs in this bowl. Now you can season the eggs at this point, but I don't think you'll need to, so again we're going to use our taste in a second, and to that we're just going to whisk it. Then of course you can use a fork. Of course, being Chinese, I use chopsticks, because why wouldn't I? And there's my eggs whisked. I've just slopped a little bit on my cooker. I'm now going to chop my onion, so I'm going to use half of this for the sweet and sour and half for this dish. So I'm just going to chop it in half now, or roughly in half. Top and tail it. Take off the outer skin. Now we're going to do a nice fine dice. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do this, but if you don't, just be careful of your fingers. Let me just move this out of the way so you can see better. I'm going to place my hand on top of the onion, keeping the knife flat or slightly even, pointing downwards. I'm just going to create a bit of a slice, which is about half a centimetre, a centimetre through the onion. I'm then going to lift again by about half a centimetre to a centimetre. Again, the knife is either flat or it's pointing ever so slightly downwards, and I'm just going to do that again. I'm now going to chop long ways. And then to this, I'm just going to then dice it straight down the middle. Now again, I'm just going to use these two fingers to pull the onion together because it's quite floppy at the moment. Putting my fingers on the top just to make it nice and tight again. And then using the flat of my knuckle, I'm going to use the chopper. I'm going to use that as a guide for the chopper. And I can just very carefully, with a very sharp knife, guys, this works only with a sharp knife. We're going to get a nice dice. So if you can see that. So just put that there. Now this end a little bit, we're not going to waste it. And again, just very carefully, guys, same principle. We're just going to chop that. So we don't want to waste that last little bit. And just get the onion out of the peas. Now we're ready to cook. Any questions so far?
We're just having a discussion about peas being the devil's food, but actually I think coriander
Peas. Oh yeah, coriander is most definitely the devil's food. You can have a slurp. Do a Keith Floyd with water. Now guys, woks. They start from about £20. So this is a £20 Tefal MasterChef non-stick wok. It's okay, you know, it does the job, and after about 12 months, all of a sudden it loses its non-stick and you're going to want to bin it. Okay, if you're cooking on induction, electric, or even gas, these work absolutely fine. Okay, so this is a £20 wok, and this is used, you know, people that use it every now and then. Now we have carbon steel woks. Now carbon steel woks is what we would use in a Chinese restaurant or takeaway. Okay, they're very, very thin, they're spun. Normally in a Chinese takeaway, instead of having this flat bottom, they're oval. So you have an oval bottom, so they sit over the gas ring, which is well, it's kind of like a hole, and it kind of sits over this hole. It heats very evenly because the metal's so thin. With a carbon steel wok, you will need to wash and season the wok before you use it. Now this is a Netherton wok, and these are already pre-seasoned. But if you go to your local Chinese supermarket, you'll get a really good wok for about between 18 and £30. When you get it, wash it in really warm soapy water. Make sure it's bone dry, and then what we want to do is get that wok as hot as we can. Okay. Then put in some oil, swish it around, let the oil cook for a little bit. Get rid of that oil, give it another wipe off without the soap this time. Do that maybe 2 or 3 times, and what happens is the oil then creates a patina. The patina is what makes the wok red hot. Now you might find that it still sticks. Now that isn't the wok's fault or that you've done a crap job on your seasoning. It just means the wok was never hot enough. So when you cook with a carbon steel wok, guys, this has to be like red hot, center of the sun hot before you start cooking. Because of that, things will naturally not want to stick. It doesn't want to be there, and it'll skid around the pan. Okay, so that is a £65 wok. Then we have the creme de la creme, which I didn't buy and it was gifted. We have the Hexclad. Now the Hexclad has all the technology of a non-stick wok or a carbon steel wok, because you can use metal implements on it, but it's completely non-stick and it's forgiving. So even if you're cooking on a lower temperature, it still won't stick. Thought I broke it then. This wok, if you use metal implements on it, this is the cheap one, the Tefal one, it's buggered. Basically, the non-stick comes off. In fact, I just scratched it by putting a metal thing in the middle of it. But, these woks are okay, but these are okay if I'm doing like demos and I'm just banging kit around. Whereas if I'm cooking at home, I'm either cooking with my really expensive wok. These are about £200, I think. But again, gifted, guys. Or get yourself a really good carbon steel wok. So I'm going to use this bad boy. And again, remember, if you're cooking with carbon steel, make sure it's smoking hot. So we're going to get this nice and high. In fact, I'm going to put it on number 9 rather than pulse. And before I put anything in this, guys, I want to make sure it's really, really warm or very, very hot. I'm just going to grab some oil, and this is going to take 2, maybe 3 minutes to warm up, guys. Remember, we do not cook in a wok until it's really hot. When you use one of these, or even that one to be fair, you can get away with not having it so hot, but let's start practicing how we would cook if we were cooking with one of these, because this is like true cooking. Now, when you go to a Chinese restaurant or takeaway, you'll find that the food tastes different. Now, the reason it tastes different isn't for any other reason apart from the heat that the food was cooked at, okay, which then, and that patina in that wok, which you'll get from the carbon steel or something like this, that patina gives the food a smoky taste. Now, it's very, very subtle. It's not like barbecue, American barbecue, where it's really smoky, but it definitely tastes a little bit different. And that is the patina. That is what we call wok hei. Wok hei means breath of the wok. It means the wok was on fire before we started cooking. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm smoking already, okay? So get it back up to 9 again. Now that it's smoking, I'm gonna add, I'm doing 2 packs of, well, I might only do 1 pack of rice actually. Are you hungry? I'm just asking the wife if she's hungry. Are you hungry?
As much as you want to cook.
Okay, about 2 tablespoons of oil. See, this is it, see, instinctual cooking. If I'm going to cook that much rice, about a tablespoon. Because I'm going to cook a little bit more, I'm going to add more oil. So there's 1, there's 2-ish tablespoons of oil. Now, do I do the egg or the onion first? You know what, I'm going to do the egg first. Now, when this egg goes in, guys, it should cook instantly, okay? So make sure the oil moves around, in goes the egg. Now, if you can see that, guys, you can see that my egg is cooked instantly. To that now, I'm going to add my onion. So I'm not going to get the same caramelisation on this onion, but what I'm going to try and do is just cook the onion long enough that it still becomes a little bit sweet. And you can see there's no sticking at all going in there because the wok was hot. It's a good wok. And we're just taking our time with this. Now to this, I'm going to add my seafood. As far as I know, the squid and the mussels are cooked, but just in case, I'm going to add them in. And I'm just going to give them a minute or so just to get nice and toasty and cooked all the way through before I add my rice. Now what you will find is when we're doing anything like this, so when we're doing like a young chow fried rice, so young chow fried rice used to be shrimps, barbecue roast pork and peas. Now the shrimps were always cooked, the pork was always cooked, and the peas are pretty much cooked. So you would normally start off with egg and the rice goes in. Okay, and then you can fry the rice off. In fact, you know what? I'm going to show you how to do this properly. So let me just grab a bowl. If I can find a big bowl, use a plate. Now the reason I'm going to do this, guys, is because we might not be able to get the rice really, really toasty. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cook this onion and seafood first. And then I'm going to fry my rice, and then I'm going to add the cooked things into it. So in a restaurant, because we've got these, because we've got the Bunsen burners going on underneath, basically it's a massive flamethrower. Put the egg in, then fry the rice. Then we'll add our cooked pork, add our cooked shrimps, add our cooked peas towards the end. We then season, okay, a little bit of soy sauce right at the very end, sesame oil out. But the rice has that toasty, nutty flavour. Now, if we put the rice in now with this, we probably won't achieve that because the mixture is wet. Because I'm cooking meat and I'm cooking eggs and I'm cooking onion. It can't dry, it's not dry enough. But what we can do is remove this And this is, you know, I know a lot of people that do it this way. They cook their bits and bobs first, put it to one side, fry the rice off, then add it back in again, and they always get that nutty flavour. There's a massive difference between cooking at home and cooking in a professional Chinese kitchen. We just can't achieve that same kind of heat. Okay, so that can now go onto the plate. So that's cooked now, guys. Seafood always cooks really, really quickly. The onions are nice and soft. This does not need washing, but it will need a quick wipe. So just use a little bit of kitchen paper. Just over your bin, guys. Just wipe out anything that you don't want in there. And because obviously I've moved everything, I do need a little bit of oil just to start this rice off. So there's a bit more oil. And let's just get that really hot again. So I want it smoking before I do anything else. Now if you are using packet rice, guys, just break this up first before you open the packet. So just give it a really good squeeze. And that is ready to go. Give it a sniff test, because you never know if it's been sitting on the shelf and the package has been pierced at any stage, it goes off really quick. So in goes now my pre-cooked boiled rice. And there's that instant sizzle. And all I'm doing, guys, I'm just using the flat of the spoon now. Because the rice clumps together, I'm just using that just to fan it out. I'm now going to add my packet rice. And there's no panic, I've still got this on red hot, guys, but I'm not worried about it burning. In fact, I want it to burn a little bit, because by burning it just a little bit, I'm going to get that nutty charred flavour, that breath of the wok stuff I was talking about. Quick toss. And we're just going to fry this for about 3, maybe 4 minutes before we do anything else. So I want to make sure it's red hot before we add any other ingredients, and I want to make sure we get that toasty flavour going on. Any questions? No questions. Everybody cooking? Show Joe your cooking. So you can move your camera onto your cooking thing. What's your rice looking like? All looking good? Yeah. Anybody looking like they're in the running to making a winner? I'm going to let Joe choose the winner, you know.
No, I don't want to. There's lots of hungry people.
That's good. So just keep moving that rice around, guys. Every now and then, just give it a minute or so. What happens is as well, when we crowd the pan and when we're moving things around, the pan cools. So just by giving it a second or two, or 20 seconds, the heat gets back in there again, and then we can start moving it around again. So look, I'm cooling everything down by moving it. And I'll leave it alone for a second and let it get the heat back in there again. You can hear that sizzle. Try and do it without burning myself. Where's the soundtrack there? Fried rice soundtrack. Any lumps you see, guys, just use the back of your spoon just to flatten them out. Okay, so I'm happy that that rice is warmed all the way through. It's nice and toasty. I'm now going to add my mixture again. And I'm also, no, I won't add the peas just yet actually. Now I'm just going to give this a quick mix. And I'm going to turn the heat down to about a medium in a second. Now this, by turning the heat down, just gives me a little bit of chance just to play with the seasoning now. So that's my seafood and my egg incorporated. Let's turn this down to a medium low, just while I'm playing. Now, we said turmeric. Do you remember why we're using the turmeric? Any answers at all? Okay, now turmeric is really, really earthy. If you put too much in, it's going to taste like mud. Okay, so I'm going to literally put in, I don't know, what's that, a sixth of a teaspoon? About a sixth of a teaspoon maybe. So I'm just going to put that in.
Pinch.
Huh?
I call that a pinch.
You'd call it a pinch, would you? Well, joke. Chili powder. Want a little bit of heat. Watch me pour it all in now because I've got a big lump there. About half teaspoon of chili powder can go in. A little bit of smokiness, there's that paprika I was talking about. So that's smokiness. I don't know why I got this spoon out, it doesn't go in the bloody jars. About half teaspoon again, guys. So in that goes. Curry powder. Now this is Singapore, so the curry powder, I'm going to want you to put in at least a teaspoon to start off with. It might even be able to take 2. So let's start off with a teaspoon. In fact, instinctually, I'm thinking teaspoon and a bit. Now at the moment, okay guys, it's spicy, but there's no flavouring. So to this, I'm going to add about that much salt to start off with. Yep.
So someone's asking, can we add a bit more spice in this spicy loving person?
Yes, it's your dinner, so you can put in as much spice as you like. So yeah, by all means, please do put in more spice if you like it spicy. And if you can see that, guys, there's that yellows and the reds coming through now, just colouring that rice. So let's turn the heat back up again. Let's get this frying again, guys. Remember, we turned it right down just while we were playing. So I need to give that a minute now or so just to get really hot, and I can start really tossing that through again. That's good. Half an hour so far. So you can hear the sizzle, yeah? Give everything a really, really, really good mix, guys. Right, enjoy. Come and taste this, please.
Tasty.
Any soy sauce? Just a splash. Was that the chilli?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Just before I put the soy sauce in, I'm just going to add. So I'm fasting till 1 o'clock because I'm trying to lose some weight. So I'm not eating until 1 o'clock. Going to add some peas, and then soy sauce. The light soy sauce. 2 different types of soy sauce. The light soy sauce is salty. It's used to season dishes. The dark soy sauce, I would normally put dark in, but Jo is celiac, so she can't eat the dark soy sauce, and this is gluten-free light soy sauce. So just a little touch of soy sauce, which is just going to help with that umami flavour, which we're going to get a bit of umami from the seafood and other bits and bobs anyway. And I can now switch off the heat. The peas were defrosted, so they only just need warming through. And the last thing, guys, if you have it, only if you have it, we're going to cheat that nutty flavour I was talking about. This is sesame oil. In fact, this is the last of the sesame oil. We need to get to the Chinese supermarket. If you're buying sesame oil, guys, you can get 2 types: blended, pure, and you know which one I'm going to say. use the pure sesame oil. It tastes all the difference. And whatever you do, don't cook with it. It's used now at the end of the dish to season. So in goes a little bit of sesame oil. And since I have the bowl, I'm going to serve this. In fact, I'm not, because I'm going to reheat this in a second. So guys, that's finished. So providing you've got 2 woks, you can now leave this to one side. If I can find my cork mats. So I'm just going to leave that to one side now, and then in a minute before we eat, I can then just put the stove back on again and reheat it in the wok. Okay, quick tidy up and we can get on with the sweet and sour.